June 12, 2025, Ahmedabad, India. At first, it felt like any ordinary afternoon. Passengers were boarding Air India Flight 171, a sleek Boeing 787 Dreamliner shimmering under the scorching sun. Destination? London Gatwick. A long journey, yes, but for most of the 42 souls on board, it was routine. A father waved goodbye to his wife and kids before stepping into the cabin. A young bride clutched her hennaed hands nervously, her first flight. In seat 11A, Vishwash Ramesh, a 38-year-old British Indian man, fastened his seatbelt and leaned over to his brother. "Soon we'll be home," he smiled. At 1:30 a.m., the aircraft lifted off runway 23. Everything seemed normal until it wasn't. Disaster begins before altitude. Barely 625 feet into the sky, trouble began. The plane wobbled. Power didn't kick in as expected. Passengers looked at each other, confused. Some thought it was turbulence first, but inside the cockpit, panic had begun to bloom. Mayday, Mayday, Flight 171, power failure, attempting emergency return. The plane wasn't climbing. It couldn't. It hung in the air like a wounded bird. Then it started to drop. At 1:41 p.m., just 3 minutes after takeoff, the plane slammed into a residential block in Meghani Nagar, right on the edge of a medical college hostel. Inside the hostel, dozens of students were having lunch. They never saw it coming. The Dreamliner exploded on impact, igniting a firestorm that swept through the neighborhood. Flames, screams, chaos. Over 270 people, including passengers, crew, and civilians, died instantly. The wreckage burned for hours. The sky turned black with smoke. Hope faded fast. One man walks out, but from that inferno, one man survived. Vishwash Ramesh, staggering, bloodied, burned, but alive. Rescuers found him clutching his brother's lifeless body, mumbling prayers in disbelief. He had been seated near an emergency exit, and somehow, when fire devoured everything, he found a way out. He doesn't remember much, just a sudden jolt, screams, then silence. "It felt like the world stopped," he said later. "I don't know why I lived, but I know I wasn't supposed to." What went wrong? Investigators worked day and night. The black boxes were recovered. Preliminary findings hinted at loss of thrust in both engines, improper flap setting, possible mechanical fault or fuel issue, no foul play detected. This was the first fatal crash of a Boeing 787 Dreamliner in history. Air India suspended similar flights. Boeing stocks plummeted. The world watched, stunned. The aftermath. India mourned. Families buried what remained of their loved ones. Medical students held vigils. Streets once filled with life now stood scorched and silent. And Vishwash, he attended his brother's funeral in a wheelchair. And then he disappeared from the public eye. But his story remains, a haunting reminder of how life can change in a blink, how one moment you're in the sky, and the next you're the only voice left from a plane that fell silent. This was the story of Air India Flight 171, a flight that never made it, a tragedy etched in history, and the miracle of a single man who survived when no one else did.